Auburn University Marching Band. For your halftime entertainment, we celebrate the 43-year reign of the Speed Metal Kings, Metallica. With 9 Grammy Awards and 14 nominations, 38 concert tours worldwide, and 11 studio albums that span 4 decades, the Titans of Thrash remain the standard by which all other metal is measured. We begin with a 1984 classic from their second album, For Whom the Bell Tolls, followed by the 1992 tour anthem, Wherever I May Roam. And then, let's turn down the house and light up the stage for the Auburn University Marching Band and their show, Metallica.
The new era on the Plains as Auburn football has named its 33rd Auburn head football coach. We're going to talk about it. Alex Golesh coming to the Plains. Our opinions, takeaways, anything else that we can do in this early reaction video coming up right now. War Eagle, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of E2C Network Live, where we get together, we sit down and discuss, share in the Auburn experience, which to us is all about the Auburn sports, Auburn culture, Auburn family stuff. An easier way to say it, though, is if it's orange and blue, it is what we do. So thank you so much for joining us in what we're going to be doing today here on this live reaction show about breaking news for Auburn football, and that is the hiring of Alex Golesh from South Florida as the 33rd Auburn football head coach. Lots to break down in this, lots to take away, lots of opinions, and lots of narratives to either agree with, push back on. A lot to do in this stream, as there always for breaking news stories, especially for hirings. These are always some of our more interesting and lively discussions, and that's what we're going to make it about here today. Obviously, giving you a little bit of information, but focusing primarily, hopefully, on some of your opinions, questions, thoughts that you have about this takeaway, or the takeaways that you have for Alex Golesh coming to Auburn football to be their head football coach. Obviously, we want to start by welcoming you into the chat. For those of you that are watching live, maybe catching the replay, audio or visual, we appreciate you being here and spending some time with us. If you're live, let us know that you're here with a hello. War Eagle, for those of you that are Auburn fans joining us, those of you that are random fans, and I see in there already, just coming to see the shenanigans that are ensuing here. Obviously, a thousand things to break down today, but we appreciate everybody that's here, especially on the live show. You, of course, can hit the like button, the share button, all that good stuff to start off. Okay, so for the agenda here today, maybe timeline of things, as I always try to make these reaction streams primarily about just initial flow of thought type of scenarios and things here that we want to run with, but I do want to give us some guardrails to stand within. I do want us to, talk about some facts and things that we do know about Alex Golesh, maybe things that we can safely assume about timelines, how all of this transpired. And then we've also got a lot of, just opinions and things that we can break down. I know I've seen a lot of narratives already flowing out there that I think we need to probably dive into just a little bit and discuss a little bit more into the detail to see if people are buying into narratives they shouldn't. But we'll see what we get into today and what we can get into. And appreciate so many of you that are joining in on the stream with us here live to hang out a little bit today to talk about this. So, Alex Golesh, where we all left each other this weekend, and really the last couple of days, is it went from being a scenario where you had some other people that were likely going to be the Auburn head football coach, and that supposedly transpired to moving more towards at least fan speculation of retaining DJ Durkin as maybe not just interim but head coach, and now switching back to Alex Golesh if he was a primary candidate all along or anywhere not. Here's what I want to stress with Auburn fans. As much as you think you know the official narrative on this or can deduce what the narrative is on this, I promise you, you and your sources don't know the official narrative. They may know parts of it, bits and pieces. They may even have a good portion of it together. But I think one of the things I always want to stress in these situations is you as the fan, especially in these reaction scenarios, need to be really thinking about what it is you're reading, who you're speaking into your opinions. Is it well informed, or are people going off of just what they heard, quote unquote, air quotes for everybody in the chat or everybody that may be listening to the replay or something like that. It's one of those things that I stress for you, the Auburn fans, to be the best examples of fandom out there and be more well-informed and more critical thinking about these types of things. So here we sit, Alex Golesh from USF, and I think I said UCF earlier. That's going to happen a lot, by the way. Just go ahead and get ready for it. USF comes to the Auburn Tigers. Let me just give you a little bit of facts about them. I'm saving a few of your questions and comments that we'll address as it goes throughout the stream here, and we'll get into some of that in just a little bit here, but trying to keep some organization in this. Here are some of the facts about Mr. Alex Golesh, where he has been. He's got, and I would highly recommend that you go look at auburntigers.com. You can find the links in their social media post for their initial announcement of this. The article right there, you're going to have a lot of great information detailing where he's been, what he's done at those different places, and what capacities. This is an offensive-minded head coach. So whether you were a fan of that or not, offensive-minded coach, again, here we go. So that would be him. That would be Golesh. That would be Hugh Freeze. That would be Brian Harsin, Gus Malzahn, dating back to Gene Chizik as a defensive-minded head coach. We're staying on that trend. What does that mean for implications for other staff? Only time will tell. We're sitting here doing a reaction stream on a Sunday at 4 p.m. Central Time, so 5 Eastern. So things can definitely change rapidly about staff and things like that. We're really just focusing on Golesh at this point in time. Here's a little bit of his coaching history. He is an Ohio State guy, did get his Bachelor of Education at Ohio State in 2006. He was a student assistant there. He's been as a graduate student assistant, Northern Illinois, Oklahoma State. He finally started getting some of those coaching opportunities as a tight ends coach and recruiting coordinator at Toledo, Illinois. Got other positions at Illinois, running backs, still heavy in recruiting, special teams as well. Iowa State, tight ends, recruiting. UCF, that's confusing that you have UCF and USF on your resume. Co-offensive coordinator, tight ends. Tennessee, he had offensive coordinator, tight ends. USF for the last 3 years, 2023 to 2025 as the head coach, and now beginning 2026 as the head coach of Auburn football. He's been on the watch list for several awards. Paul Bear Bryant Coach of the Year award this year. He's been on the Bobby Dowd watch list, Broyles Award finalist, all those different things. So he's made his rounds and has been in the coaching ranks with a lot of recognition out there for what he, may or may not have had a shot or win or anything like that. But he's got some accolades to his name, which is something you can't really just dismiss out of him. But that gives you some facts and things right there. So an offensive-minded head coach. He's been around a lot of different places, got some ties to Ohio State and the North. But he's been to Florida. He's been to Illinois. He's been to Iowa State. He's been all the way around. He's been under the tutelage of a Tennessee head coach, and I'm blanking on his name at this moment. I almost said Jeremy Pruitt, but it's not. Josh Heupel, thank you very much. My mind finally got there. But yeah, so here we go with the start of that. There's some quick facts to get things started. I'm going to take a first comment here from Neil, who says, Kyle, how many of these Auburn hires a new coach lives do you think you'll do in your lifetime? Well, I told you when Gus Malzahn was fired and started doing these in 2020 that it didn't have to be this way and that we would enter a decade of irrelevancy. We are halfway through it. So halfway through my prediction. And not to say I told you so, but I told you so. Sorry, I know some people are going to hate that, but learn to take a joke, folks. Okay, so let's keep going through some commentary here. Let's see what we got in the chat from you guys. This is from Devin. I'm just happy that the media was wrong and they were all shocked at the hire. Lots of stories going around about what happened. So let me talk about this a little bit. And I addressed this earlier, Devin. I don't know if you were in the room. Just fans needing to be use a lot of critical thinking skills on this and really question narratives, what's being written, spoken. I'm not sitting here saying that media doesn't know what they're talking about, because I guess technically I'm part of the media. I don't know in some form or fashion, some small way. But people don't always have all the information as much as they may appear to be. So I think it's one of those things that this one probably shifted a little bit. I do think, it's my opinion, that John Cohen kept this close to the vest, as he told you he was going to do, that he was a committee of one, and he was going to make sure he managed this process. It doesn't mean things don't leak out and things aren't pretty obvious. I mean, I think we all can look at the situation and go, it looked like John Sumrall wanted to be at Auburn, is the speculation, and it just didn't work out. But that doesn't mean that Alex Golesh wasn't high up there as well. So if you're someone that's building this up as a failure of sorts already, you're just being stupid. If you're someone that is building this up as the next greatest thing, you're just being stupid as well. It's just one of those things that, hey, this is a time for Auburn to really just kind of take a step back and see what can happen, give this guy some time to build a program out, and hopefully get us back to where we need to be in terms of that. So there are reports out there. Apparently, Hunter's sharing some things. Official contract details: $7.4 million per year, with a chance at $12 million if we reach 12 wins. I don't think that's an official release anywhere. And this is where I stress about the reports and things like that. I've never been once shown like a piece of paperwork that says, or a what's it called, a freedom of information request to get those things, at least that I've seen. So until those things, I wouldn't buy into those numbers until you actually get the official word from Auburn or something like that. And you probably never will be in any way. This is from we'll call him Nitro. No A hires out there, so potluck with any move. And he talks about him just being jaded with the last 4 years. Well, it's a good idea maybe to kind of change your perspective on that. No need to be Mr. Negative Nancy about things, but listen, you can certainly think there are no A hires out there, meaning in a grade system, but you might end up being wrong. So I'd just be a little bit careful with that. Mr. Shane Spires on Facebook says, great hire in his opinion. I got to break the news to him today, actually. So a little bit of shout out to Mr. Shane. This transpired very quickly. And I got the notice this morning just before it went live. And I was like, oh man, here we are again. Can I just be honest with you all a little bit? This felt very much, and what I'm about to say is going to send some of you into a tizzy. It felt very much like the Brian Harsin situation, only because of just the change of everything so quickly. And hey, now we're here all of a sudden, because we all buy into narratives and things, and look, all the tea leaves seem to be falling this way. But then suddenly you're there. So in no way am I insinuating that this is going to be a Brian Harsin situation. I just thought it was very interesting. I got like this feels very unique, or not unique, very familiar to me overall. Thank you, Devin. I just saw your comment about the media thing. I appreciate that. Let's see here. This is from also Mr. Nitro. Does Cohen address the players on this and get a reaction? Deuce camp specifically. So the word was on the street that, well, he is on campus right now, and they are posting things as we speak about him meeting Aubie, the band, the welcome, the president, obviously athletic director Cohen. I would imagine that we would probably get some clips from Auburn media if we haven't already, or at least photos of of those initial reactions and welcome when they do happen. So he is on campus, and he is getting the red carpet, orange and blue carpet rolled out to him. And let me just, I'm going to push back on this a little bit. We don't need to focus so much on Deuce and Cam. You need to focus on the whole team. And I get it, folks. Trust me. I understand why it is, but some of y'all are building way too much of your happiness around 1-2 players, and it's just not healthy. Just my opinion. You don't have to agree with it or like me saying it, but it is a reality. Let's see here. Looking through our chat to see what's going on. None of that matters now. I guess this was talking about narratives. This is a solid hire. This is from Weakest Link. Golesh is a solid coach. Anybody who doesn't believe that doesn't know ball. It's a very common phrase used out there. Don't know ball. Questions about and I want this to be about Golesh, so this is the one question I'll take on this. So and I stress that when we focus on a certain title or topic here, we're going to stay on that topic. This is about Golesh. We want to focus mainly on that. I know it's in reference to, will he hire him as defensive coordinator? I'm doing this reaction stream assuming nothing else has broken as of me doing this. Last I was told, there were discussions being had about keeping DJ Durkin. I haven't been told nor seen an official announcement from that in any way. Reports about a 6-year contract. Is that too long? I can't remember exactly how long contracts were for like previous coaches. I feel like it was 5 for Hugh Freeze, but I wouldn't read too much into the length of the the amount people will probably raise Cain about, but if that, whatever it is, just remember, folks, you are seeing reports. You are not seeing facts. You're seeing reports, not seeing facts. Unless someone can present to me an actual contract, I do not believe a dang word anybody says. It's just speculation at that point and what sources are saying. This is from Weakest Link, and I feel like this is what a lot of people, I think, maybe I shouldn't say there are a lot of people, but there's a good portion that are going to want Sumrall, but Golesh is probably the next best option available. And so that maybe sounds like you're having the ability to rationalize and to be okay with this one. Only time will tell whether or not this was the best choice or not, even if it was the second best choice, like you're insinuating here. And I think a lot of times we assume just because someone has success at another place or fails at another place that somehow that confirms that you made the right or the wrong choice. It's not that simple. You can Hugh Freeze, for example, and some of you don't like this, but had he inherited an Auburn that Brian Harsin did, I feel like we would be sitting here still with Hugh Freeze. He inherited a dumpster fire of a situation, and I think it certainly changed the trajectory of what this was going to happen, although some things that clearly were not working with Hugh Freeze are a result also of him being fired. Let's see here. This is from Tim. He says his offense helped Tennessee beat Bamar, and since he left, their offense hasn't been the same. It certainly does seem like it's taken a step back, but that happens with any transition. Wouldn't necessarily that's just because he left, but there does seem to be a little bit of that correlation there. What else are we here? Micah says, am I still going to give Golesh the same 3 to 4 year leash, or is his leash a couple years depending on the record? If you're asking about me personally, Micah, my rule of thumb is the same. I think a head coach should be given 4 years outside of extenuating circumstances, and people hear me say that statement and they don't allow for the nuance in that as well. I don't necessarily think that there were extenuating circumstances for firing Hugh Freeze other than just, I can't really, I can go from a situation where I think you should be giving 4 years, but I also can't defend you based off the product on the field. You know what I'm saying? So I believe in 4 years for a head coach minimum, especially the state that the Auburn football program is in right now. This is from Tim. I'm seeing a lot of these phrases. He has an edge to him. He won't back down. Let me just, again, I'm not trying to be I guess I am trying to be a contrarian, but I'm just trying to give you always the other side of this because I want you to be well-rounded as Auburn fans. Don't start just because we use these buzzwords building this up, but he's got an edge to him. That means he's going to somehow be magically the fix for Auburn or just the right fit or something like that. I think all coaches, to some extent, have an edge to them. It just may not be what you consider the edge. I do like some clips I've seen of him. I like the way he thinks about things, talks about things, but those are just from initial reactions to that. Once again, for those in the chat, we're only focusing on Golesh right now, not focusing on any other staff things. So that's why we're keeping that title, Alex Golesh to Auburn, not really anything else at this moment that we're going to dive into for rumors or discussions about future staff things. This is from Jacob. The more I hear, the more I'm on board. The more on board I get. My opinion is high risk, but high reward. If DJ's retained, the risk is lowered. Potentially. What you don't want to have is a situation where a head coach feels bamboozled or forced into a situation where they have to retain someone to make the fans happy. You want them to have their people, their situation. However, I would hope that Coach Golesh would look at what DJ Durkin has accomplished here at Auburn and go, maybe, just maybe, we need to think about keeping this guy. I don't know who his current defensive coordinator is, if that's someone he'd want to bring with him, but you do want to make sure that you give him the, if not totality, the appearance that he has the full control of all of that. Don't force anything upon him. Now, if I make and again, I know we're going to focus on Golesh, I guess I'd offer a piece of advice. He don't need it from me, but this is a very much a era of football where you need a CEO head coach. And even though you're going to have a speciality like an offense for Golesh, you are going to try or you're going to need to try to divvy out some of that to some people who are qualified to have full control over a certain side of the ball. That would be the defensive side of the ball, which is not going to be his forte. DJ Durkin's about as like experienced and qualified as you get. He's been a head coach before. He's had associate or assistant head coach roles or titles. He's shown you what he can do when he has full control over the defense. I think it's pretty apparent what could happen there. But again, this is about Golesh. We're not going to really focus on that too much right now to talk about that. Let's see here. Recruiting is something that I wasn't aware was in his wheelhouse, but it seems to be, if I remember correctly from the release, it looked like he brought USF up to the top of their particular conference of recruiting for maybe the last 2 years or things like that. And so obviously that's going to be advantageous. Auburn being in the SEC is a highly competitive recruiting conference. And so you're going to have, for those of you that like the word edge, an edge to you in that regard. So offensive minded, seems to have a focus. He's been the recruiting coordinator at a couple other places. That's going to check some box there. Let me go back to this. Should Auburn have hired an offensive or a defensive minded head coach? I was of the opinion we've been doing the last several years as an offensive minded head coach. Hey, it ain't working. Let's try and go a defensive minded head coach. They didn't make that decision. It could have gone that way if there were some other options. But this is why it's important to realize that you as a fan, your preferences don't really matter, because if you win, what is it? You can be wrong. So obviously we can do, I guess I don't know where I was going with that, but anyway, always be mindful about what you're thinking and sharing out there. This is from WT. Could not be happier with the new hire, War Eagle from Pelham. Thanks for joining in with us. This is from Rhyming Lemon. The rumors are out there that are one of the requirements to take the Auburn job would strongly consider keeping DJ. I think that's something to remember what you just wrote at the start of that sentence. A rumor. Rumors are best kept away. I will always submit to you. I operate off of the assumption that where there's smoke, there's fire, but to what degree? I doubt that this was as deep as some people think it was. Yes, Brian, he was a recruiting coordinator several times throughout his 10 years at different places. In fact, I'll run through that one more time for you. Recruiting coordinator at Toledo, at Illinois, recruiting coordinator at Illinois. I already did that one, so I'm just kind of running through here. Iowa State, and then I would imagine he was still heavily involved moving up to coordinator roles at UCF. God, he has UCF and USF on his resume. That is confusing. Tennis, once you become known as a recruiting guy, even if you're not the coordinator because you have more roles, you're a big recruiting guy. So that seems to be definitely something in his wheelhouse. WT says, I don't care if it's offensive or defensive mind. I just want him winner. And I think those type of statements, WT, are 100% correct. What does it matter if we win? But we can't be dismissive of these things. These are things to assume and things to talk through and work on. So we can't have that kind of dismissive mentality about it. And I know you're just kind of giving some conversation here, but I am going to give my retort to that, because we can't get into that realm where we just go, just win. Winning is the only thing that matters. No, it's a little bit more nuanced than that. We got to have a discussion about it. I do think that there could have been something to, let's try a defensive-minded head coach this time. That's not me saying that this is the wrong hire. That's just where my opinion was as far as where maybe I wanted to go in all of this. Maybe hear a little bit from Micah. Says, I have a bit of pushback in that, Kyle. Why would you want to hire a defensive coach when even Auburn fans say the O-line was the issue that needs to be addressed? Because even if you're a defensive-minded head coach, you're still over the whole of the offense, then you can still hire the right person to fix and right offensive coordinator to fix the offensive line. That's kind of the role of the head coach. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. Let's see here. This is from Hunter with a question for me. Kyle, what he meant rating on a scale of 1 to 10 would you rate this hire, at least initially, with what we know as of now? Great question, and Hunter, and let's pose that to the entire group. So everybody who's watching live right now, I would just don't give us a long explanation of it. We're going on a scale of 1 to 10. 1 is the lowest. I hate it. 10 is I love it. Right now in the chat, just type a number in. Let's get a gauge for the entire room here right now, those of you that are interacting. 1 to 10, what is your rating on this hire from what you know. Don't go off of the rumors. Don't go off of the silly stuff because I heard somebody, because this report said what you know, where you know where he's been, you know what his focus is, you know that he's a recruiter, all that kind of stuff. Where are you sitting at right now on that scale? Me, without looking at y'all's, I see them coming in, so I'm gonna look away. I think, and when I first heard it come through this morning, I was kind of a 5. I'm a bit of an optimistic guy at times, so I think I've probably shifted more into the 7-ish realm as the day has gone on. So I'll go at a 7 on this one. We got some 8s, 5s, 8, 7, 7, 7, 8s. We didn't ask for 0.5s, but people are giving them 7, 9, 4. Sam's a little low. 6, 6.5, I guess I should say. But the lowest we have is 4. We have a 9 out there as well. So another 8. So right now it looks like all of these, we're sitting somewhere in a range of 6 to 8. Seems to be the main prevailing thought out of all of the ones that are coming through on our chat right now. So we appreciate all of y'all putting your perspectives in there in the voting. So that's a great question and thing to bring up, Mr. Hunter. That was a good perspective for people to see what the temperature in the room is right now. Yeah, again, once again, in terms of who's coming with him, who's being retained, all that stuff, have no information on that right now. We're really just focusing on Alex. But certainly, as that information comes out, we'll be talking about it. My hope is tonight when we do the Auburn Experience show, by the way, don't miss it, 9 Eastern time, 8 Central tonight. Austin and myself will be doing the main podcast recording. You know this will be a main topic. We'll hash it out together. Austin and I tend to be very like-minded people, but I think I'm probably going to lean more on what Austin thinks about this hire because I value his opinions on things. So this would be a really good time tonight to hear his thoughts and opinions on this hire in some detail. So don't miss that tonight, 9 Eastern, 8 Central, for those of you that are watching beforehand in the live portion too. Hunter says, my rating will change based on how well we retain key pieces and players. And that can be a good way to rate it. However, if they're going to be cancers on the team, meaning they can be a great player, but they're not going to have the right attitude about the transition, then you don't need them here. I don't care how good you are. If you're a cancer on the team, you don't need to be here. That's why you don't leave cancers in the body because they ruin everything. So you can't necessarily do it about retention. You can do it about what you do with what you have. Sometimes you can inherit a program that you can only do so much with, such as Hugh Freeze, at least in year 1, maybe year 2. But it was, you've got to give a little bit of nuance in there, in my opinion. Let's see here. A lot of jokes about him being from Russia, things like that. We're not going to get into that here, but I appreciate some of y'all's candor in there. This is from Sam. I think we paid too much for him. Could turn out to be a great decision, but not sure, just doubtful. So Sam, I've kind of brought this up a little bit with you here live. Where do you see 100% how much we paid for the dude? You see reports and you saw someone's writing on the report. Have you seen an official dollar on a contract? You have not. You will not. I promise you of that. Now, if Auburn does, and let me just go through, make sure before I, insert open mouth, insert foot here. Contract, I'm looking for details on here. Unless someone does a freedom of information request, we're not going to know that for 100%. I don't see anything here in the release. So I don't care who reports it. I don't care how reputable they are until I see 100% facts. I don't buy into that. So you shouldn't be developing these thoughts that you think you paid too much for him because that's not a fact. That's just a report. All right. What else here? Some of y'all are just trying to mess me up on this one. Okay. Conversations about comparing all of the different things. Rhyming Lemon is just having fun in the chat right now. I've seen some of his commentary and it is making me laugh just a little bit here. Okay. Broken down some news. We've gotten some way too early opinions. What does the future hold for Auburn football? Obviously, we don't know a lot of that right now. We do know that we have a new head coach. We do know that there is a staff that needs to be assembled. We do know that there are some options maybe to keep. We do know that there are some potential returners that I do not believe have been announced yet, but I am privy to that I would be overjoyed with if those do come to fruition. All of this to be said, as I said earlier, I think the future is best laid in the hands of Alex Golesh. That way, when the results come in, it's all on him. I don't want one of these things, well, we forced him to retain somebody. I want Alex to make his decision, Coach Golesh to be the one that gets the person to shape all this. However, if he will be able to take counsel from other people and take good advice from those that want to see him succeed, his AD, others at Auburn, I think that's something that you still should consider that as well. Let's see here. Look at the money. Look at the money fans are saving on postseason tickets and having Cohen as AD. Walt, I'm gonna be honest with you. This is kind of an ignorant comment. It's meant probably in jest, but John Cohen is doing the best job that he can. I will tell you, I'll tell you that I think he's going out there every day trying to do the best job that he can. But certainly on the football side of things, he has inherited a very mess of a situation with football that he is trying to fix. And so I think people are being a little bit premature on that, such as you. Let's see here. Rhyming Lemon. Auburn is in good hands. Alex is a good hire. He's got the right temperament and vision to build a program from where it is. Hearing a lot of that talk, temperament, he's got an edge, he's got a drive. A few clips that I've watched of him, I've liked what I've seen. But I think right now the majority of people are looking for things that they want to get on board with. That's, I think, the idea behind all of this is, everybody wanted the change for the most part, wanted to see something new. So you're looking for all of those reasons to like it. You're seeing a lot of the synergy out there right now with Auburn Athletics. They're all sharing pictures. There's one live right now on Twitter from baseball. We've seen that before. Auburn football is a family, and we get behind it or get behind each other together and, try our best to make sure that we do at least appear like a family out there when we can do that. What other comments, questions, opinions, angles about Golesh specifically? We're not really focused so much about, there's some good commentary, I think, here that I want to get to in a second. I think that's a good point. But keep those coming here. We'll round out our conversation with it as much as we can for that. But I do want to give you a couple reminders, as I already have but a next official live stream for us, those that are scheduled tonight, 9 Eastern time, 8 Central, episode 152. You're already hearing my initial thoughts with some hours to digest things. We'll be talking about the Alex Golesh hire in a little bit more detail with Austin tonight. We'll also be looking at the basketball week that was. So do that. Plenty of other Auburn news stories and Auburn potpourri. Talk about, I believe we'll have an Auburn family night this week. We're kind of getting ourselves reestablished here after football season ending with this hire, all that kind of stuff. So I would imagine the news is going to be popping off. So always stay tuned, stay subscribed to E2C Network across all platforms, not just YouTube, so that you can be informed, stay with us, and make sure that you get to share your opinion as well. The productive opinions. Some of y'all are not productive in your opinions. Let's take Jason here. Jason's on a little bit of a Facebook rant, kind of filling the stereotype there. So he wanted his so Jason, I've only initially read the comment a little bit, so maybe I'll pull back a little bit on this. But when I see paragraphs written out like this, I usually know that this is not going to go well for you. So I hope that if you understand that if you're willing and want to give critiques, that you need to be able to accept critiques of you as well. So he says, so Auburn is willing to spend more money on buyouts than taking the time to spend the money up front and get a proven head coach. How many coaches do we have to keep buying out? Terrible hire. Don't forget, Cohen fired Freeze. Track record hasn't been the best. So John Cohen's been here for 3 years. He's hired one head coach for football. That head coach inherited a mess of a program and wasn't able to get over the hump. Some of that he had to work through. Some of that Coach Freeze wasn't able to work through on his own. And if you can't do that, unfortunately, you've got to make a change sometimes. Listen, I think you're making a lot of assumptions here with not a lot of facts. I would be very cautious in the things that you're saying on Facebook. And when you write paragraphs normally like that, that kind of says a lot about you than it does about the person that you're talking about. So always keep that in mind. All right, we got a little bit of breaking news here, and it looks like it is official. It is only a report, though, but from some sites on here. Former Auburn quarterback, wide receiver from Nathan King of 247. Assistant coach Cody Burns is expected to return the program as assistant to Alex Golesh's staff. Burns worked with Golesh at USF and Tennessee. Now, he is a former quarterback and wide receiver assistant coach. It only says assistant on his staff. So I thought I read it as assistant too. So there's a little bit of news for you guys in the middle of this breakdown that we can certainly talk about if we need to, because that is some breaking news on here. All right, let's get back to some of your commentary here. This is one thing that I'm a little bit behind, so I'll try to rush through this as much as I can. From Mr. Nitro, young guy for long-term stability. We so need that along with wins. So you can have long-term stability with a quote-unquote older guy, but I get what you're saying here, and I don't disagree with that, actually. I think that's another positive in this quarter. This is a younger guy, so you would think he could relate to the kids a little bit more. So that's certainly a win in the win column if you're kind of checking the boxes here, cons, pros, things like that. I think that's one that not a lot of people are going to disagree with on that. Let's see. This is from Edward. The AD and boosters need to stay out of the coaching and give him full control of this program. So I'm going to push back on the narrative here, Edward. Once again, I see too many fans just talking about these things nebulously and not actually knowing facts or having things to prove these conspiracy theories that the AD and the boosters always control everything. We sound so unintelligent when we say things like that. So, Edward, we got to be better than this, buddy. I say this with love to you. Until you can prove those things are going on to me and not that you heard or that you were told, let's not do those things. But I do agree that a head coach should be given full control of their football program, or else you're going to have animosity built in. But they should be able to take helpful advice from the people that want to see you succeed, which would be your AD and your boosters as well. What? That's Ryman Lemon. How long will Auburn fans start calling for Golesh? Probably within 3 years if they don't get the results they want. Let's see here. Looking for any other commentary we haven't talked about here. Yeah, so we'll take this, even though it's not specifically about Golesh. I think this will make a lot of people happy. Cody Burns is a beloved person, and that seems to be a report from Nathan King out there. Obviously, nothing has been officially announced, so you always need to take this with a grain of salt. But it would make sense if you already had an Auburn guy on your staff and he was successful with you, like you liked having him there. Why not bring him back? That's gonna absolutely pay some dividends. You've seen most head coaches previous to Auburn either retain or bring in some Auburn guys. Marcus Davis was brought in with Hugh Freeze, and it was an outstanding decision. If you disagree with that, you're not paying attention to who's on Auburn's wide receiver corps right now. But that is something to definitely get excited about there. Iceman thinks we dodged a bullet with some raw. You won't know that until things play out, and even then, you won't know if the success would have been had at Auburn or not, or vice versa. If he has success at Florida, you don't know if it would have worked out at Auburn. These are all things that we can have opinions about, but we just don't know. I sincerely hope that Coach Alex Golesh doesn't come in with any beef from the referees in Birmingham. We can't keep having these issues. I've seen a couple clips of him going, I think it was with some coaches and stuff. He can get after the best of them. So I think he's a guy that seems a little bit fiery, maybe is a good one to think about there. What else? Anything else that we haven't discussed? Those of you that have arrived a little bit late, we have talked about some of the things. We're not really looking we're not looking into the staff hires as much. We did discuss Cody because that seems to be a report out there. I have been told that myself before these reports started going out, so that's why I'm willing to go forward with that. But there you go. That's at least something to give you those that are wondering about the staff a little bit. And yes, Cody has has a reputation for being a good recruiter. He can recruit Auburn well because he knows Auburn. Most of you have heard me say that I think Auburn is best in the hands of those that know it, appreciate it, connect with it. And sometimes that's a little bit hard to define. You wouldn't see a lot of connective tissue between Alex Golesh and Auburn outside of maybe the feel of things. But if you can bring in the guys that do know, love it, and how to sell it, that's a great decision. Let's see here. Looking for any other commentary. Yeah, Iceman says he knows we dodged a bullet. You don't know, I promise you, because you don't have a crystal ball. People, one of the things that I want to stress with us as fandoms, it's so easy for us to say these things on social media, and we come across as so arrogant, like that we have our sources and things like that. Trust me, I got the sources too, but I'm not arrogant enough to think that we can't get things wrong. The sources can't get things wrong. I just want you as the Auburn fandom to have a more even-keeled approach to this hire, to the next hire, hopefully not for many, 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 many years. We've got to do better in the fandom as well. We have to recognize our role in all of this too. And if you don't think that you play a role in this, then why are you here? Why do you care? If you don't play a role in this, then you shouldn't even really be here. But all that to be said, there's my take on that part of it. Due to the timing, we do not have to be concerned with the second transfer portal window. He'll have a month to recruit his current staff. That's going to be massive. I think that's correct, Hunter. So maybe you're right on that one, which would be some great timing as well. So it looks like Nitro agrees with you on that one. I think you've made that clear, Iceman. We got it the first 3 times. Rodney says he's heard about his recruiting prowess, that being Coach Golesh. He has a reputation for building a program. I think to pigeonhole the big takeaways from this, you can look at his resume. You can look at the talk about him. He's been known for being a recruiter. He's been known for building a program up. They had like 4 wins the 3 or 4 seasons before him. He had 7-5 his first 2 seasons, got to 9-3 this year. I would say maybe calling it's a program builder simply because of how bad they were. But when you see the program builder label put on someone, you really expect like let's go 7-5, 8-4, 10-2, that type of thing. There was progression every year, but also, you don't know what the situation was there completely. So you got to give them a little bit of credit there. What will be Coach AG's catchphrase? And thank you for the super chat. Freeze had winters coming, or freeze warning. Gus has the Gus bus. What will be there? I think there will be probably some gulag in there, or golog or something like that. I don't know, but it'll be a lot of that tied into that. I think this was more about Sumrall. I liked him because of his ties to the state, but Golesh has built UCF program from 1-11 to 9-3 and it is a short amount of time, which just given the full context there. Coach Golesh will be in the Deep South recruiting as well. When have we had those Deep South connections in the past? He's got some. Certainly, he's been in Tennessee. He's been in the Florida area, and that is going to help. But he also has connections up into the to the Midwest, a little bit up in that vicinity of places. And I think that you can't just pigeonhole yourself into the Southeast, but you have to take care of your state, the big 3, which includes your state, Florida and Georgia. And you've got to make sure you cover the Southeast, but you got to be able to extend out there and pull in some of that from everywhere. Under Freeze, they did a great job of pulling from Maryland. They did a great job of pulling from Mississippi, which isn't like, even though it's next door, the state that we pull from that much. So all of that to be said, he does have those connections. He is known as a recruiter. He's been given that role and that title at several of his stopping points. I think we can all say that without a fact, or with a fact that he is going to have that expectation on him to recruit well, to build the program up from this low point of 5-7, which has been consistent the last 2 years. And so we'll see. We'll see if it tracks here at Auburn. I think he's going to have Not the deepest hole to climb out of at Auburn that Hugh Freeze had, but I do think that he will still have his work cut out for him with the challenging schedule that we'll have. And really, that's where we're sitting at. In summary, Alex Golesh, the 33rd head football coach for the Auburn Tigers. We look forward to watching it. There will be some fun stuff tomorrow for you all to take part in, or if you're listening to this later, it's already happened. They're doing a Tiger Walk ceremony, welcoming and meeting and speaking to the fans, followed by the press conference. That's all happening tomorrow, Monday morning, before that opening press conference. So be looking for that. That's going to be on War Eagle Plus. It's your first opportunity to listen, to hear. The one call to action that I'm going to have for you, our audience, and the Auburn family. I want you to be excited. I want you to be supportive, but I also want you to be use critical thinking. Don't just buy into narratives that are, built upon things that you haven't investigated yourself. Make sure you do the work. Make sure you do the work as a fan to become more informed, not off of what you hear, not off of what you read, but what you can use in your common sense to gather as much information as you can. And we try our best to help you do that here, to become a well-informed, well-rounded Auburn fan in the Auburn experience. With that being said, welcome to Coach Golesh. We're excited to see what you will do for the orange and blue and how we will be covering it. And yes, to go back to a question that was asked at the very beginning, how many of these have I done in my time as a content creator for Auburn? Too many. And I hope for Auburn football, this is the last one for a long, long time. Excited for the future, hopeful for the future, because the Auburn experience is always great, no matter the wins, the losses, or anything else going on. It's always great to be an Auburn Tiger. Till we talk to you again, thanks for joining us. The Auburn Creed always asks you to do these things: do justly, love mercy, walk humbly with God. We ask you to do the same. War Eagle.